Hey guys, my name is Jonathan Taylor. The reason I started this channel is because there are no real tennis YouTubers out there that kind of keep me interested day to day. Like, they don't walk through with their lives like a vlogger would, and don't really talk about what it's like to be a tennis player. I'm by no means a professional tennis player. If you're familiar with the USTA rating system, I play at a 3.5. Which means that I have good control over where I want to put the ball and what I want to do with the point, but sometimes finishing points can be a little difficult, and I have very little control over the depth that I hit the ball. So I just thought I would use this channel to kind of show people what it's like to live in the day-to-day life of someone who just plays tennis recreationally. So a little bit more about me. I'm 24 years old and I live just outside of Madison, Wisconsin. And for those of you not familiar with the United States, it's right here. I hold a bachelor's and a master's degree in business administration from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. And I started playing tennis in 2001 at the age of 8. I learned how to play while I was living in England. A next door neighbor of mine offered to drive me back and forth to group lessons every Friday night. And definitely at that age, I was really excited for tennis every Friday. So after that year of playing at that indoor facility, right around 2002, my family decided to move back to the United States, and we moved to Indianapolis, Indiana. For those of you not familiar with the crossroads of America, it's right here. I was a little bit sad at the time because there wasn't a racket club that I knew about in the area, so I wasn't able to continue taking lessons. But luckily for me, the junior high school in the area was big enough to have a tennis team for their 7th and 8th graders. So in between 2nd grade and 7th grade, I didn't play much tennis at all, so that was a huge gap in my learning experience. So on my 7th grade team, I just barely made the cut. It wasn't exactly a successful season for me. There was still a lot of things I was missing. I wasn't very consistent, and I think I lost a lot more matches than I won. And then over that summer, I started taking lessons again at a racket club that had just been refinished up the road a little bit. So my 8th grade season was significantly better. Unfortunately, at that time, I was in the midst of the worst of my puberty. And if you're curious at all what that kind of manifested itself like, it was actually from this picture. So I grew out my hair, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Looking back on it now, I kind of realized it was nightmare fuel, but yeah, it was. I thought it was cool. So at its longest point, it was actually 13 or 14 inches long, and I did it for a good cause. I donated it to Locks of Love, which is a charity run through a chain of barbershops in the United States. And what they do is they take hair that you long hair that you donate, and they make it into wigs. After 8th grade, my family moved to Wisconsin, and there really wasn't any affordable options for me to continue taking lessons, but the McFarland High School did have a tennis team, and I was able to join that my freshman year. That season wasn't very successful. A lot of the kids in the area hadn't taken any lessons before, and despite that advantage, I still wasn't able to be the best on my team or really do well that season. A little bit about me is that your boy's not exactly that naturally athletically gifted, so it takes a lot for me to learn something. After that, I did quite a few recreational tennis programs in the Madison area. Not too many specific lessons. It was just a little bit too expensive for me at that point. So coming back into my sophomore year, I was much better. I played at 1 or 2 JV doubles and was able to win a few matches that were kind of really important for me to win. But it wasn't until junior year of high school that I was able to make varsity, and that year I made 2 varsity doubles, and I went basically undefeated up until the season end tournament, and in there I believe I lost in either the semifinals or the finals. That was a tough loss for me because if I would have won that, I would have qualified for the Wisconsin State Tournament, which was always a goal throughout high school. That next year was fairly uneventful. My doubles partner and I got split up, and I moved down to 3 varsity doubles. But I still had quite a lot of fun. The guy I played with was very funny and very fun to play with. but there wasn't a lot of huge success I could have at three doubles. After I graduated from high school, I went to the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, and there I played on the student organized club tennis team. I didn't even bother going out for the university team because it was like we were playing two different sports. University of Wisconsin-Whitewater is kind of a powerhouse at the national level when it comes to tennis for their division. They won quite a few national championships and were at the nationals very, very regularly. But for the club tennis team, I was able to practice twice a week and go out for tournaments just about every month. And I did that for just about the entire time I was at UW-Whitewater, so for about 5.5 years. After I graduated from college, I didn't get to go out and play as much as I would have liked to, and that was kind of hard for me. Luckily for me, this last spring, I got the opportunity to help out with the McFarland High School tennis team by being a volunteer coach. And I was able to improve more in that 3 months than I ever have playing tennis. So I decided to go out and join a bunch of USTA league tennis teams. If you're not familiar with USTA, it's kind of the governing body that organizes a lot of the leagues in the United States, and I'll put a link in the description below. If you're not a member, I highly recommend joining. The membership itself isn't too expensive for a year-long subscription, and the cost of joining a league isn't that bad. It comes out to roughly between $5 and $15 a match, depending on where your league is, and that usually you get between 5 and 10 matches for each league. Your options for playing in those leagues kind of varies by where you live. If you live near a major city or a very populated area, there's a very, very wide range of leagues that you can join, all the way from someone who just picked up a racket between someone who plays at the national level. And if you live in a rural area, it's more likely that the level of play will skew more towards the beginner level, so you might not have competitive play as you progress. So that kind of brings me into what I plan to do with this channel. I signed up for 4 tournaments in the Madison area over the course of the next 7 weeks. 3 of those tournaments will be singles and 1 of those will be doubles. And I plan to make videos about those tournaments once a week throughout those 7 weeks. And on the weeks that I don't have a tournament, I plan on making some other kind of video, like a product purchasing or a beginner's purchasing guide, and tutorials or whatever you guys might suggest. If you have any ideas for video, please leave them in the comments below. I'm not naive. I don't believe that these videos will be quite good quality over the course of the next couple weeks, but I really want to improve, so if you have any constructive criticisms, please leave those in the comments below. The ultimate goal of this channel is to get more people playing tennis. That's beginners who have never picked up a racket before, all the way through adults who have been playing a while but kind of dropped off after high school or college. Because the more people that we have playing tennis, the better the sports get as a whole. There will be more leagues, more and cheaper opportunities to get out and play, and the level of competitive play will also increase. What's great about tennis is that it's a sport for people of any age. During my league matches, I regularly get stomped by people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s because they've been playing this sport for 60 years, and they might not be able to run themselves very much, but they can certainly run you very, very well. I know this video is pretty boring and mostly informational, but don't you worry, the funny and the memes are coming. If you're at all interested in tennis or any of the topics I talked about, please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribing for more. And hopefully I'll see you out there on the courts.